Howdy boys, it's MVC, and today we're going to be going over my JDM garage tour, which is all of the cars that I have in my auto shop. The majority of the vehicles are JDM cars, but there's a couple that aren't made by Japanese manufacturers. If you hate on me for that, then f you. I'm just kidding. Anyway, without further ado, let us get started. So, I don't want to spoil anything here. But first up, we have the Maibatsu Penumbra FF. Oh, that was a spoiler. Oh my fucking god. The Penumbra is a very simplistic looking car, very sleek. It's supposed to be based on the Mitsubishi Eclipse, and I think Rockstar did a pretty good job with it. I wish there was like a little more detail on the vehicle, but I do like how smooth and simplistic it looks. I went for an ice white primary, and I threw this livery on it, which is, I think it's just called the Kasama livery. It's got the primary color wrapping around the pink, and I think it looks super cool. And then I tried to match the secondary accents with hot pink mirrors. I think the pink is like a slightly different shade, but just don't look at it too closely. And then for the rims, I think I just have some generic 5-spoke sport rims, and it's slammed. I really like the way the wing looks on this car because it kind of sits up high, but it's not like big and overbearing or anything. And it's also got that text on the back. It's just a really sleek and sexy looking vehicle. Next up, we have the Maxwell Asbo, which I recently did a customization on, and I recently ran in a Manhunt video against insurgents, and it's a unique vehicle to say the least. It's front wheel drive. It's literally a golf ball, essentially. It's like, it's got terrible handling, it's got terrible performance all around, but look how f***ing cool it looks. We've got the speakers in the back, we've got it slammed. It looks like a Honda Civic, especially I think with the bra in the front. It's got a very like Civic type look. We do actually have a Civic in the game. Unfortunately, there will not be one featured in this garage tour. This is the closest that I have. The primary color I have in a race yellow with a bluish silver pearlescent. Secondary color is matte black, which is the mirrors and the spoiler, as well as the skirts. The reason I did those instead of carbon options is because I felt like the secondary color being matte black matched up with the black that's already on the car, like with that rear bumper there. And I thought the carbon was like, it was too much, especially with this roof box. That's a huge carbon piece. And having the spoiler also be carbon was like, it was too much of that carbon pattern, and I wasn't feeling it. I've got a tuner bumper on the front. I feel like that makes a big difference because it drastically changes how the car looks. It removes the mustache and everything. It's got full eyelids and a stock exhaust slash bumper option because I just like the way that this one wrapped around the back fender. As terrible as this vehicle is, I absolutely love it, and I highly recommend that you guys get one. It's incredibly cheap. If you guys are looking to grab a Maxwell Asbo, you can find it under the two-door section of Southern San Andreas for $300K if you have the trade price unlocked. Otherwise, it'll be $400K. I did actually forget to do this for the Penumbra as well, and you can find that just above the Maxwell Asbo under the two-door section of the Southern San Andreas website for $1.4 million. Both vehicles have immaculate customization, especially the Penumbra with the liveries. This one's got just a lot more of like your standard options, but it's got a lot. Like there's a whole lot of personalization that you can do. So I think both vehicles give you really good bang for your buck. Up next, we have the Dinka RT3000, which is based off of the Honda S2K. I modeled this one after an S2K that I see driving around my city. It doesn't have bolt-on fenders, but it is wide-bodied, or like at least has some type of fender option where it gets a little bit wider in the back. I think the bolts are a little messy, but I don't think that there's an option to remove the bolts. And then I just did endos. It's usually slammed or lowered, but in the garage when it's parked, it kind of just sits up like that. And I've got this in just a standard blue with a surf blue pearlescent. Nothing too crazy with this vehicle. I think that the back end is such a good replica of the S2K. Just this car as a whole is a really good replica. The only thing I don't really like is those two like back, I don't know what those are, like speaker options. Are those speakers? No clue, but it's a great looking car overall, and that's why it's in this garage. Up next, we have the Previan, which might be one of my favorites out of all of the vehicles that I own just in the entire game, actually. I think I did such a good job with this customization. I've got it in a frost white, I believe. It's a slightly darker shade of white so that you can see the white text from the livery pop out just a tiny bit. And then I think all of these like Arctic, it's got like an Arctic palette for the colors, and I think it looks so f***ing good on the car. For the hood option, I went for this vented, aggressive looking hood. Just gives the car a ton of detail, and I think it matches up perfectly with like the offset livery. It's got all this text all over it. It's stanced. a whole bunch of flying colors on this car, and then I had to go with endos, of course, and make those a baby blue. Absolutely stunning vehicle, and just ignore the cars in the distance. Minor spoilers, but oh well. I love the way the Previan drives as well. It's such a good car, and if you guys are looking to grab one, you can find it under the two-door section of Southern San Andreas for $1.1 million. If you have the trade price unlocked, otherwise it's 1.5. This one I totally think is worth your money. It's got great performance and customization. I think in general, people aren't as big of a fan of the Previan as some of the other tuners in the game, but I think it's super underrated. And it slipped my mind again, but the RT3000 is $1.3 million on the two-door section of Southern San Andreas. I don't think this one's as worth your money. I know the S2K is really loved, but I feel like the customization is just a little awkward for the vehicle, but it's not bad. Up next, we have another Honda S2K. This one is drastically different looking than the other one. This one has a ton of options to just remove pieces. You can remove the front bumper, the arches, the rear bumper. So I pretty much went with as many removed options as I could. I have a video on it actually. I'll link that in the description for you guys if you want to see in more detail, but this is the outcome. It kind of looks like a go-kart, like a Mario Kart. And I thought this livery fit really well because it's so chaotic. There's a lot going on, and it has like a tiger theme going on with it. It looks super cool. It looks really goofy at the same time, but I was really curious to see what would happen if I picked every removed option, because I don't think that there's another vehicle in GTA with this many removed options. Up next, we have the Dinka SJ, which is supposed to be the Honda Civic Coupe. I'm really proud of this customization because I think the color scheme, it just looks so beautiful. It's kind of got like a sea life theme to it. It's got a gasoline green with a gasoline green pearlescent. It's surprisingly shiny for being the same color, but the wheels are desert tan hyper freshes, and we've got a black shopping list on the side. I think shopping lists make for great liveries on JDM cars. It's just simplistic, but you know the car's been modded a little bit and it just looks so fucking good. I wanted to go with the gasoline green on the Civic because I feel like it's an older color scheme. It's not really a color that you see used on modern day cars, and I wanted to sort of like modernize that on the Honda Civic because I think it's a great car. I love the Honda Civic, especially the old ones, because my uncle used to drive a red one, the hatchback one. The spoiler I think looks so good. It's just the perfect spoiler for this vehicle. It matches the shape. It's got the right height, the right thickness. And then lastly, to make this thing feel old, it's got the antenna on the side as well. Up next, we have the Dinka Classic, which is, of course, everyone knows this vehicle. It's the Supra. It's just such a good looking car. I think Rockstar has a really good adaptation of the Supra visually in GTA. Performance wise, I think the Jester is it feels a little standard, which I'm kind of disappointed about because everyone loves the Supra, and it would be cool to have a fan favorite vehicle just have insane performance. Like the Torero XO, for example. It's a Lamborghini, it's the brand new Countach, and it's got crazy acceleration. Everyone loves that car, everyone's gonna own one. And I feel like they low-key did the Supra a little dirty by having it have mid customization, but it looks astounding. I've got this in a salmon pink with an ice white pearlescent. We've got black endos, we've got titanium exhaust, we've got the super spoiler. It's wide bodied, and then I have a white shopping list on it because I felt like it matched a little bit better with the light pink than having it be black. And it's just a great looking vehicle. If you guys are looking for a Dinka Classic, you can find it under the two-door section of Legendary Motorsport for $800,000. Pretty cheap. I think this one's definitely worth your money. It's a f***ing Supra, bro. You have to own one. And then once again, my memory has failed me and I forgot to include the price of the Dinka SJ. So you can find it under the featured page of the Southern San Andreas website for $1 million if you have the trade price unlocked. Otherwise, it's going to be 1.4. This one's got amazing customization, but it's fucking horrendous if you expect any good performance out of it aside from drifting. I think it's a good drift vehicle, and that's it. The customization goes crazy though. Up next is the Dinka Jester RR, which is based on the new Supra. Mark 4 or Mark 5, I'm not exactly sure which one, but once again, Rockstar has added a really good adaptation of this into online, very accurate to real life. And we've got this one in an orange with a bright orange pearlescent, and then with this livery, it's kind of like a black two-tone almost. Not quite a two-tone. Black undertones is, I guess, a better word. And then it's got this text on the side to make the JDM experience a little more immersive. It's got the cat We've got black louvers, titanium exhaust. For the bumpers and skirts, I went with this orange highlight to match the primary color, make it stand out a little bit more. And then of course it's got like the super spoiler. The only problem I really have with this vehicle is like, look at that. Why does the Jester RR text go straight over where it says original? That's fucking horrendous design. But it's like, I'm not gonna lie to you, this is the first time I've ever noticed it, so it's not that big a deal, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. Oh, anyway, moving on. I went with blacked out Tropos rims. I think the Supra looks really good with 5 or 6 spokes, and it's just a great looking vehicle. If you guys are looking to pick up a Jester RR, you can find it under the two-door section of Legendary for 1.5 mil if you have the trade price unlocked. Otherwise it's gonna be 2 mil. It is a great looking vehicle, but it is definitely more on the expensive side. Good customization, but unfortunately the performance is a little bit mediocre. So up to you on whether or not you think this is a must-have. Up next is the NS ZR350, which is supposed to be the Mazda RX-7. This was my dream JDM car for a long time. I went with the salmon pink on this one with a matte black secondary color. It's got an ice white pearlescent, and I definitely went with a more aggressive build on this one. I've got that black like racing stripe going down it, very aggressive diffuser, and I've got these boxed titanium exhaust. That is so cool. I wish more vehicles had this because I think it's like they're just so bright and big and good looking, you know? Kind of boring having bores on all the time. But for the headlights, I went with these. They're like popped up, and I think these stay popped up, and they also don't have like lights coming out of them. They're like headlight covers, a smooth hood, and of course black endos because these just look way too good. If you guys are looking to grab a ZR350, you can find it under the two-door section of Legendary for 1.2 mil if you have the trade price unlocked. Otherwise it'll be 1.6. Similar to the Jester RR, but not nearly as pricey. It looks great, has great customization, just has very mid-tier performance. Pretty much all of the tuners do except for the Vector, the Cypher, and the Previan. But I do think it's a great looking car, and Rockstar did do a good job adding the RX-7 into online. So if you're planning on getting one, don't expect the most satisfaction ever, but I don't think you'd be disappointed. And last up in our garage is the 10F wide body. I know this one's not made by a Japanese manufacturer. Audi is German, I'm aware, but it kind of fits the aesthetic. You could definitely pull this up to a JDM car meet, and I don't think anyone would be complaining. I've got this in a metallic candy red with a very subtle pearlescent. This has got to be like a rolled steel or something. I pretty much went with forged options where I could, that being the side vents, the fin, the skirts, the rear diffuser, the front bumper, and then I highlighted as much of it as I could with ice white to match the white pinstripe livery. I think it's such a good looking livery. Definitely very race-like, but it's just so sleek. I feel like it's got really good line placement, like how on the door here, we've got this red piece going through the middle, and then we've got the white pieces going the other direction. It just looks so fucking cool. And of course, this is wide bodied. I wanted to make it a little more aggressive, so they're bolted. And then we've got Benny spindles for the rims. These are such good looking rims. I wish every car could put them on, but that's not the way the world works, unfortunately. For the intercooler, we have it exposed with the logo because I think having some branding on a vehicle, I think gives it a lot of like personality. It almost gives it like an ego, and I think it looks really good. Ridged hood, the inverted ridge for the roof, and then we've got a primary, it's like the split ducktail sort of thing. This is probably one of the best looking cars in the entire game, and I have it sitting here because I feel like these are some of my most modded vehicles. They look so good, and the 10F is right up there with them. But that's gonna wrap it up for my JDM garage tour. Drop a like if you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know down in the comments what car is your favorite from my garage and what your favorite JDM cars are. Sub to the channel if y'all are new. There will be more videos like this coming out in the very near future, and that's about it. So take care, and I'll catch you boys in the next one. Peace!